congratulations, Coach of the Year.
Thanks.
What went into this season? 17-1, 27-3. Would you have taken that at the beginning of the year?
Oh my
Especially
gosh.
with all the injuries?
Yeah, well, before the season started, we were talking about unknowns, right? We weren't sure, just new roles, I guess not unknowns, but players who we thought were ready, but hadn't been in the role that they were going to be in this year. And if you look at that list of all those players that won awards, and then just what our team, the numbers that you just mentioned, it's really impressive that they were ready. They waited their time, they got better, and they put in time this summer, and they were ready to go. And now the story is the injuries and what we've overcome through that part. But if you think back there, I just feel really proud of them. For sure, if someone would have told me before, if someone would have told me that we were going to go uninjured throughout the season and we were going to be 27-3, then I would have said, okay, we'll take that. And then just all that's transpired since then. So I think that our players have done a remarkable job, and our staff, and we stuck together. And so it's really fun and pretty rewarding situation to be in when you get, you're always trying to get a group of people together to achieve more than you might add up to be. And I think that they've definitely done that so far this year, and hopefully will continue to do so.
At one point in the season, you're looking, okay, this is what we're stuck with here. It's 8 players. We got to make this work. Was there a point? And a couple of assistants I talked to, you mentioned the Stephen F. Austin game, but was there a time when you said, okay, this is going to work?
Probably around there. That was I think a really big win for our team, not because of who they are or what they've done. That part was good too, but that one we played with 8. So Callie started at the forward. She hadn't played a whole lot of forward. Esther started playing inside around that time. Destiny started playing more minutes at that time, and it was certainly part because we had to, and part because we thought that they could do it. And then the way that they performed in that game, I mean, if you guys remember, we jumped out on that one. We were up big right off the bat, and they came back a little bit. But I think that was a turning point in just the belief. I think before that there was a little bit of like, sorry for myself, or sorry for ourselves, or woe is us, or how are we going to do this kind of feeling. When it's one thing when Mal and Kaylee go down, but then it just continued to kind of trickle down. And so I think that was probably a good turning point for our team, as far as just whoever we're going to put in there, we're going to expect that you're going to do the job, and we think that you can do it. So you should think that you can too. And they've kind of not looked back since then.
You were talking about the injuries and all that, and how proud you are of the team. Obviously, this hinges on the outcome, I'm sure. But where does this rank in teams that you've coached? Just how proud you are of what you've accomplished so far?
I mean, pretty high, honestly. I think we've had one other year where there were some injuries. My second year, quite a few of them, and it was similar to this, where people were coming in and going out, and not at the same time. It wasn't like they all came back at one time, and that year we finished 4th, and so you're proud of the team for, I remember us beating BYU in the end of that year at home, and that was a big game for us. But this team, and there's some teams in the middle, between then and now, who the stuff that we dealt with off the court was pretty trying, and I think that they overcame a lot with that. But as far as just basketball performance and sticking together and not caring who gets the credit and all those things that you try to preach, and that's certainly what we've built our program on around here, that idea, they've done it as well as anybody. And honestly, people who shouldn't or weren't necessarily ready, or we didn't plan to start, were starting and playing 30 minutes. And Lenny has been phenomenal. I think she's in a unique situation because she's been affected by the injuries. It was her first year as a starter, and to be picked up by the coaches as the player of the year. And honestly, if we don't have Lynn, I don't know what I don't know what it looks like. She's been remarkable. And then it's just the extra with her sister, because that hits different with your twin being out for the whole time, and they're your running buddy, and other people as well. Just not just only spotlight her, but. So I think I'm really proud of them. There were times where we wavered a little bit, or we looked a little shook out there, and certainly I lost my composure a few times. But I think that overall, that hasn't been the makeup or the attitude that we've taken, and I think that's part of what's led to our success.
And obviously, the award today. Just what's that like to get Coach of the Year?
Yeah, it's an honor, and so you never want to discount it, but it's a program award always, and sometimes it's political and it's this and that, and I think that this year's team, I think that we deserve the awards that we got as the players got, and I think my coaching staff and our team, they make me look smart, and so it's really what they've done and accomplished, and we always joke that we don't want to mess them up, along the way, and so it's an honor, but also it's also right back at all these guys. And we always say we won the Coach of the Year award, not a me thing. So.
looking back at this season, Brina's been one of your most impactful players here, and she comes from the transfer portal. What have you learned about sort of utilizing that as a tool in the last couple of years, now that that's going to be a normal thing for the foreseeing future?
Yeah, well, I think that it's, for us, I'm hopeful that we're going to be able to stick with our players and just use it as a supplement, but I think it's definitely been a great supplement. Just like the transfers have been for us. We've had one or two over the past 15 years, occasionally here and there, and so just the ability to add them in immediately, I think is going to be good, especially as we get through this COVID part. There's still people, like the roster makeup is different, and so still trying to work through that, and so I think that the immediate add, especially after all those guys graduate, we're going to be short on players, and we're going to need some that aren't going to have to sit a year. So I think that's good, and you just have an opportunity for the players to find a second chance. I've never been of the mind, some people think that people are transferring and there's a reason, or that there's a problem with them, and I think that most of the time it's just because it's not been the best fit, or that they're looking for something different. And so for us, if one of ours is looking for something different, then okay, we want them to find success, and certainly we want to be the place for people. I think we can offer some things that are different than some of the schools that people might choose the first time around, and still have success, and I think that's what Brenna's experiencing this year.
Coach, can you talk a little bit about just having the first seed, getting to see a lot of the teams play before you, and whether it's good or bad to have a week off or more than a week off before you play?
Yeah, I mean, I think that if I designed it, you'd have an extra day, but an extra day of rest than normally you get in a week, but maybe not wait all the way till the next week. But I'm certainly not complaining, because I know that it's a challenge to have to go Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, all the way through there. So as far as seeing the teams, we've seen them all pretty regularly, pretty often, and pretty recently. So on our side of the bracket, we've played San Francisco. Pepperdine's been the longest one, I think, out. But then, it's the winner of San Francisco's Santa Clara, Pepperdine and Santa Clara, right? Is that our side? Who's on our side, Grace? Yeah, Pepperdine plays who? Santa Clara. Yeah, so Pep and Santa Clara, that they'd have to win several to get to us, but those other guys we've played pretty recently, so I'm just happy. I love the tournament. It's fun to go down there. It's fun to be in Vegas. I'm glad that we all play in it. I think that's good for the conference, and see who we end up with. But really, this week we take to try to focus on a couple things that we need to do better and how to prepare us for the postseason.
I know you're only going to play about 2 games possibly in the about 3-week span. How do you balance rest versus rust? I'm sure you got some pretty intense practices, but nothing can simulate the actual games.
No, nothing does. And the last couple of years we've been trying to scrimmage our practice squad a little bit more. We're going to scrimmage them a few times today, just some 5-minute scrimmages. And that's something that I'm always curious about. You go all year just grinding and taking one day off, and then you get here, you want to be rested, but exactly the word is rusty. And so for us, we've tried to do the scrimmages a little bit more. We're going to scrimmage them again on Saturday morning before we head down there, just because we don't have the luxury, I guess, of the games, or we do get the luxury of the rest. So it's a fine balance, and trying to let the players drive that a little bit. As we've gotten players back, they haven't had to play. Lynn didn't play over 30 for the first time at least on Thursday. She did on Saturday, but so that was nice for her. So as they're trying to rest their legs a little bit, with the new players coming in, I think that we have a chance to go up and down a little bit more in practice, so that we don't feel that kind of off game, stagnant, rusty type of feeling.
And you mentioned, how Maxwell has come in and been an impact transfer. How has sort of the 3-point shooting, both between her and some of the other players on the team, opened up your offense over the course of the year? Because she was always a great shooter. 50% is,
Yeah, well, making shots makes a big difference. Yeah. It makes every offense look good if you can make shots. Sometimes we're running around like crazy, but we just make it at the end, and people think it's good offense. The trained eye knows that it's not, but I think the biggest thing, her and Lynn and Eliza, Michaela's been shooting the ball pretty well, has just opened up the interior some, to where it's difficult to double team Yvonne. She deserves a double team. She demands a double team, but the teams that do that usually have to pay for it. So I think that's the biggest. She's the biggest recipient of their good shooting, and the fact that we're a selfless passing team. It's nice to have multiple people out there who you can pass it to, not just like it got to stick here because I'm the only shooter. There's a bunch of them, so you can throw the ball kind of wherever you want, and likely someone's going to end up with a good shot who's a good shooter. So I think it's given us more options, and it's taken some of the pressure off, I think, as well, so that they can play a little bit more freely and not forcing the issue, but knowing that they might make it. The next time it's going to be their teammates' time. Then it's the other teammates' time. Then it might come back to them or it might not, and that's okay because the final outcome is the goal.
Coach, I guess one final question from me on this all is last year's team, obviously coming off the tournament win. There's not the whole team back, but obviously a lot of key players back. Just how much does that help you heading into this tournament?
I think that hopefully the experience is going to continue to pay off as far as that part. There was a couple years where we hadn't gotten that far, we hadn't won, and so you want to make sure that you're doing that. And then the next year they've had the taste of being in the tournament, and now they get to win games in it. And hopefully this year's the year that we make a deep run in the tournament. But I think experience and just people who've been there, they're not surprised by the crowds, they're not surprised by the size of the opponents or some of those things that we don't see all year long, and the speed. And so I think it's never a bad thing to have more veterans and more experience on your team.
And sorry, I'm working at a Brita profile, so I just asked a question about that. When you are shooting that well, you often get put into the box of, oh, she's just like a shooter. What are some of the things that maybe people don't notice about her game, or things that you see that stick out beyond just, oh yeah, she can make some three-pointers?
Yeah. Well, this is a shooting thing, but she shoots the ball extremely well from the free throw line also. So there's that part. She's been a really good rebounder, offensive rebounder. She crashes. She doesn't always get the best check out, but she's goes to the offensive glass every time, which has been a good thing for us. She takes charges, which not everybody on our team is willing to do, so that's, I think, her best defensive impact. She plays really hard. She runs the floor the full time. She can play for a long time. I think she's got a good motor. So I think those are some of the other areas, and we're working on a lot of her offensive skill sets. She's able to get her shot off so quick, get into the pull-up jumper is nice. All of the shooting aspects are pretty good for Brenna. But I think that she's focusing on the other things and improving those as well, for sure.
It's a big honor. I mean, you go from backup last year to Player of the Year. I mean, I don't think too many people have ever done that. What's going through your mind right now?
Honestly, a lot. I don't know. I had a deep talk with Coach Stacy before this in her office, and I can't thank the coaching staff enough and my teammates from going to not making it last year to being Player of the Year this year. I owe it to my teammates, my supporting staff, my family, like just everyone that's been with me throughout the whole time, through my worst, through my best.
Coach talked about you being kind of the glue that's held this team together a little bit. A point guard, and obviously you do that, but have you felt that pressure, and how do you handle the pressure that you have dealt with all season?
Yeah, and my answer stayed the same from when it started. People do say like I'm the glue, but I don't feel the pressure to do any of that. Take last game for example. Not my best. I played okay, but Bonnie showed up, and on any given night, that's the best thing about this team. Any player can show up and lead the team to victory.
In a situation like this season with injuries and everything that's happened, and kind of having to step up, did it show you how capable you are? Did you learn hey, I can be this good?
It shows how capable our team is, honestly, and I'm very proud of this team. We still have a long way to go. This tournament is going to be exciting. Everyone's family is going to be there, and we're just going to keep it together. And it just shows the adversity that we went through as a team. We can push through anything.
And coming off the win in the tournament last year, how much does that help you heading into this?
We're so hyped, honestly. The confetti is what we're shooting for.
I guess you talked about for a little bit a moment ago where you were down to 8 players at one point in the season. What was that like? And now it seems like you're in a much better place as a team now. Seems like you've gone through quite the journey.
Playing with, I think we were down 7 at Stanford. So it just shows that the team, we're very capable of, again, dealing with adversity, going through, we had Lee out for the longest, and she's our starting point guard, a big leader to this team too, and then Mount out with a concussion. So again, I think with everything we went through as a team, it just shows how the bar set high for this team, and I think we have yet to reach it, but we're still in the progress of going there.
And then how did you find out the news today? Who told you?
My coach told me. She sent it to me, and then my coaches back home, my AU coaches, sent it to me, and it was a bit of a shock for me. But again, I'm so grateful for my support group around me.
you're on kind of a hot streak going into the WCC tournament. I mean, does it? Good or bad, you guys get a week off and get to watch some of the people play before you. But I mean, how do you just keep keep focused until you guys have a game all the way on Monday?
Yeah. Just do what we've been doing this whole season. Been preparing for the game that's coming up, and it's either going to be the teams that are playing earlier. So we're just going to have to focus and lock in, and then take one game at a time.
You've had a great outside attack this year. You've been shooting great. Brenna's shooting great. How do you feel like that, having that distance, especially when you have a killer inside post player, also helps shape your offense and makes everything run?
Yeah, and again, teams just have to pick what they have to what they want to defend. Bonnie, we have great inside presence, and so if they don't defend that, then they're just going to be killed in the paint. And then if they try to stop the inside, then the outside opens up the inside for us. So.
And what's it like as a guard having somebody out there who's like shooting 50% from three on the year? Do you feel just like, I can just give it to her?
It's so easy. She makes me look good. She makes me look good.
What's it like today, getting today's news?
I feel like it's just really exciting, not only for me, but for my other teammates and seeing like their accomplishments too. Like, it's just like, when you look at it in grand scheme, like you take everyone and like what they got and what they have and like put it together, and it's like, it really like shows how hard this team has been working this year. And I'm just super proud of my teammates and then also myself for like what I've been able to do.
Yeah, when you take it into perspective, you're talking about the team there. It's kind of remarkable when you guys had 7 players at one point.
Yeah.
Just how big does that feel to the team as a whole?
Kind of like a little bit of, I guess like almost like a relief that like our efforts were like kind of appreciated and like shown, especially through these like awards. It's obviously not easy to play with 7 players, like whatever team you are, but the way that we've built up and come back from resiliency and all of that stuff throughout this year, it just shows like a lot of character through each of our players on this team. So I'm proud of that part of it.
Have you surprised yourself at all this season, or did you know coming in that you were ready for this kind of a year?
Definitely surprised myself. I feel like the first game in the kennel, I was in like starting my first game. I definitely was like super nervous. I was like, I do not know how I'm gonna do this, just because we lost like a lot of seniors that I really relied on myself. So I feel like I've definitely had growth along with my teammates this year.
Well, you guys are kind of on a hot streak going into the tournament anyways. Tell me just a little bit, what do you guys work on getting all the way to Monday? I know you have a lot of days off. At least you get to watch some of the teams before you play. But, what do you guys do in between this break?
Just like kind of like perfecting, even though you can't be perfect, trying our best to like perfect some of the stuff, like nitpicking and just being able to really like crack down, because at this point in the tournament, whatever team you are, like you have to come into every game like as strong as you can be. So in this time that we have to really practice that, like those are our main focuses before we head into the tournament, and then also throughout the end of our season.
Yvonne, you're talking about, last year kind of being seniors graduating, stepping up, being a key piece. You were a key piece of last year's team, along with the Truongs of the WCC tournament championship. Do you feel more of a pressure now that you're in that leadership role to lead the team here in the tournament?
Not really. I feel like my team has a lot to play with, like me not feeling like any pressure, because at the end of the day I have them. So like, since I have these girls with me, like I don't really feel like, oh, we need to outperform every single game in order to win. Like, we just have to play. That's literally like what we have to do. So I'm really like happy about that.
Yeah. What's it like for you heading into the tournament?
I'm just excited. I feel like I want to get there already. We have all this time and like breaks, and it's like, yay, practice, no games. But I'm just like, I really just want to play right now. So for me, I'm just super excited to get there.
Get out of the cold?
Pardon me?
Get out of the cold?
Yeah, it's starting to feel like Canada, just like a little bit.
How is sort of over the course of the season, Lynn and Brenna have been like shooting great. How does that open up things for you in the post there, having, not people who they have to respect out there?
Well, I feel like if anything, it really spreads the court a lot, because it forces people to make decisions that they don't want to make. So it's either come in and like guard people in the post and like work really hard, but then like, oh, sorry, we've got like 2 shooters standing outside there waiting for the ball to shoot it. So I feel like having that on our team just creates so much range, which is like so nice to have.
Yeah.